Welcome and thank you for tuning in. You're listening to the Beyond 50 radio program. I'm Daniel Davis. Healing modalities. As many of you tune into the program, usually you find out some of the most unique things here that you don't normally find in other places. And today we're going to be sharing one of those special things that you're going to be able to use and share with others as well. It's known as Scalar energy. And this particular way is going to be able to help you find a way of healing unlike anything you've heard of before. Joining us here on the Beyond 50 radio program today is someone who has been a researcher for more than 25 years helping people with chronic pathogenic illnesses. I'd like to welcome to the Beyond 50 radio program our guest, Tom Palladino. Tom, how are you doing today?
I'm very well. Good day to you. Thank you, Daniel.
Now, tell us, Scalar technology. I've never heard of anything like this before. What exactly is it? How long has it been around?
Well, many of you have heard of Nikola Tesla, the great scientist. Tesla experimented extensively with scalar energy over 100 years ago. Yes, it is a new and emerging science, if you will. As far as I'm concerned, there's two energies in the universe. We have electromagnetic energy, and then we have scalar energy. Well, we've missed scalar energy, so to speak. Scalar energy is a profound energy, but we just don't quite understand it, and that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to make this palatable. I'm trying to make this very common, if you will. Scalar energy, I believe, has great promise for mankind.
Now, what is it? How does it work?
Well, let's look at the inception. Scalar energy is produced by the stars of the universe. Every star broadcasts scalar energy. So we see from the backdrop of the cosmos, there really are, again, two energies, electromagnetic energy and scalar energy. Sadly, modern-day man has just not quite figured out that scalar energy exists. So going back to that notion, all the stars actually emanate scalar energy throughout the universe. And it simply takes a scalar energy instrument to incorporate that energy, to harness it. Well, obviously, we've learned to harness electricity. Well, my contention is if we were to learn to harness this energy from the stars, that would serve as another type of energy. I've done that in many ways. I have indeed developed scalar energy instruments that allow me to harness that energy of the stars.
That seems pretty fascinating.
It is. It's going to change the way we live. Tesla saw that promise, and I see that too. What I'm saying is nothing short of this. This is another form of energy. In my estimation, it is quite superior to that of the electromagnetic spectrum. Scalar energy is superior to that of electricity. And my instruments are serving to embolden my thoughts. They're serving to underscore that notion. Scalar energy has such a wide range, if you will, of application. Once we understand scalar energy and we can control it and direct it, it really will serve as a great tool, a great technological advancement for mankind.
Now, as somebody comes to you, what typically is the procedure here? Do they come to you with a cold, a flu? What usually happens when they decide to pursue this avenue?
Sure. I offer, if you will, treatments, scalar energy treatments. It's all done by way of light, scalar light. And when I'm approached by somebody, I simply have a standardized package. I have standardized treatments that I use by way of scalar energy. For instance, I have a standardized approach in which I have been able to identify, to target over 40,000 species of germs. And I do this all again by way of scalar energy. I do not use electricity. So my scalar energy instruments allow me to isolate, to identify over 40,000 pathogens. And in so doing, this instrument that I'm working with can eradicate potentially over 40,000 different types of viruses and bacteria and fungi and protozoan. Well, my results have been quite startling, quite sensational, if I may say so. Why? Scalar energy allows me to control a germ. Scalar energy does not behave like electricity. I've observed that scalar energy allows me to actually break apart, to disassemble the molecular structure of a germ. Well, if I can do that, then I can eradicate that germ. And that's what I'm offering to people. That's one of the great tools, one of the great promises of scalar energy.
Now, how effective has this been as a healing modality?
In that case, it's rather technical, and it's rather cause and effect, and it is very effective. I have the ability with my scalar energy instrument to identify pathogens, and in so doing, I can eradicate them from people as well as animals. So it's highly effective, and it's highly efficacious. Why? If you can eradicate, if you can actually disassemble the molecular structure of a microbe, and in so doing that microbe ceases to exist, you've actually changed the geometry, you've actually changed the molecular constitution, if you will, of a germ. That germ, that pathogen no longer exists. In that sense, it's very effective. It really is. It's a consummate way of addressing pathogenic infection.
Now, what are some of the results that you've been able to achieve? Tell us about, people who come to see you and what they come to heal themselves from.
Sure. Just 2 days ago, an individual spoke to me with a favorable report. I had been treating this individual for a couple months with scalar energy. This individual had been diagnosed with herpes, and for the past 10, 15 years, this has been an ongoing problem. Well, with my scalar energy treatments, I could say that this individual is now experiencing a complete absence of symptoms associated with the herpes virus. And furthermore, to substantiate what I've always theorized, this individual has subsequently secured a DNA test, a viral load test. And in so doing, the test has come back negative for the herpes infection. So what do I see as the great promise here? In this specific incident, this individual who had herpes for at least 10 years is no longer experiencing any symptoms of the herpes infection, none whatsoever. Secondly, a diagnostic test, a polymerase chain reaction test, or some people call it a viral load test, has come back negative. There's no indication that the herpes virus exists anymore in the body of this individual. All of that leads me to conclude that the treatments are successful. All of that leads me to conclude that, yes, we are breaking apart, we're disassembling germs, including the herpes virus. Mm-hmm. So this is, now I've substantiated this time and time again. That is, so many people have gone on to seek diagnostic testing, and that diagnostic testing has revealed an absence of the pathogen. Ultimately, it's how people feel. Many people simply tell me they are now asymptomatic. They no longer have the symptoms of these pathogenic infections. It's promising. It's very promising. And I am to the point where I can say routinely, on a day-by-day basis, I am able to eradicate germs.
Yeah, it just seems so fascinating to hear about this on the horizon. How well has it been accepted by the, let's say, the medical community?
It's not been accepted, but I can't in any way cast aspersions at anybody. Daniel, I don't think they know about it. This is groundbreaking research. Just to set the tone, people, I work alone. There's no university that's ever attached themselves with my research. I'm a sole researcher. I'm doing this on my own, if you will, and with that, I'm trying to garner support.
Mm-hmm. Now, tell us about some of the unique experiences you've witnessed when working with the scalar energy in your laboratory.
I would say some of the incredible experiences are scalar energy routinely will illuminate a light bulb. Mm-hmm. Anytime I'm working with a scalar energy device, scalar energy will illuminate light bulbs that I can hold in my bare hands. And it's so incredible. Once I turn on my scalar energy instrument, there is a new and different type of force field, if you will. It's a different dimension. And that new set of principles, that new set of properties readily, easily illuminates light bulbs. So what does that call to mind? It calls to mind a different way of illumination, a different way of power generation. And that's what I'm really leading to. Scalar energy has so many applications that ultimately we'll be able to use this energy, and indeed we'll be able to illuminate our homes. We'll use this for power generation.
Mm. Well, that sounds kind of interesting. We go from treating people to being able to energize your home.
Yes, yeah. There's so many applications. If you look at electricity, there's obviously hundreds, thousands of applications with electricity. There's thousands of devices and instruments. Well, energy is fundamental, and it's just a matter of being creative enough and then spending the time to develop the instruments that will indeed control, harness, and then direct scalar energy. That's for other people to get involved with. My main point is simply to introduce scalar energy to the world. It's going to take thousands upon thousands of researchers to promote this science.
Now, what compels and motivates you, seeing how this seems to be new on the horizon, to keep going with this? Is it the real promise that there's a whole new break open that's going to happen here?
Yes. I would say that scalar energy will have a more profound effect upon mankind than did electricity. If we can imagine only 150 years ago, the world without electricity, how difficult life was. How we would not have the ease and the comfort that we have now with that we do with electricity. My contention is that scalar energy will serve to improve our lives even to a greater extent than that of the electrical age. So I think we're on to something gigantic, and I believe that my scalar energy instruments are, if you will, the introduction to mankind that, yes, number one, scalar energy exists. Number two, it can be harnessed for the betterment of mankind, and that, yes, we can indeed expand upon this, and we can incorporate this throughout the world.
Now, I understand that you've been able to help treat people by way of their photograph. How is something like that possible?
Scalar energy is not electricity. They're two different energies, hence they have different properties. Now, anything in the world, any object in the universe for that matter, is incorporated with scalar energy, including a photograph. If I were to take a photograph of myself, that photograph would have incorporated in it scalar energy. So I could actually take my photograph that has a light signature to it. It has a light recognition, if you will. And that light that's incorporated on the photograph is, again, a scalar signature. I would take my photograph and insert it inside a scalar energy instrument. The instrument then would decipher the light. Light is intelligence. A scalar energy instrument would ascertain the light on a photograph and then serve as that template in order to broadcast energy to me. Now, before I really get into it, imagine two cell phones that can speak to one another. Well, how does one cell phone find another? It's simply an information system. You can dial a specific phone number, and that phone number will direct your signal from one cell phone to another. Well, I do the same thing with scalar energy. I can take a photograph and I can send information to a person, just as a cell phone can send information to another cell phone. It's profound. It's quite different. Why is it different? It's not electricity, and it doesn't behave like electricity. As far as I'm concerned, scalar energy is, again, much more versatile than that of electricity. It offers so many possibilities that electricity will not allow.
Mm-hmm. You know, I find this interesting because, as I look into this, is the fact that, when somebody goes in, let's say, for an infection, generally what's prescribed is an antibiotic to help to get rid of the infection itself, and so there tends to be what's known as a die-off reaction. But this is quite different in how it actually disassembles the energy signature, I would guess it is. So therefore, you're kind of breaking it up into its components, the germ itself. That's kind of what's going on here?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and you're right. There is no die-off with scalar energy. Why? Well, you have a die-off with a chemical reaction. I don't work with chemicals. I don't work with pharmaceutical products. I work with scalar energy, which is, again, a different type of energy source. It's a different dimension of energy. And my experience with scalar energy is that a germ can be broken apart into elements. Any bacterium can be reduced into carbon, hydrogen, and nitrogen. So once you do that, you don't have, per se, a die-off effect. You simply are taking a bacterium and you're transmuting it, you're changing it into another physical form. You can only do that by way of scalar energy. So the reason there's no die-off, per se, is the microorganism is not dying, you're simply changing its molecular structure, which is quite fascinating. It opens the door to so many possibilities, not only to the fact that you can disassemble, eradicate germs, but you can do so rather painlessly without the complications of any type of die-off effect.
Uh-huh. Now, I noticed on your website here there is just a whole long list of pathogens, as you were calling them earlier in the program, that you've actually been able to use scalar energy to treat. That's quite a phenomenal list, actually.
It is. So this is, again, been my labor of love for the past 25 years. And over that course of time, I've amassed, if you will, a collection over 40,000 microorganisms that I'm able to treat out by way of scalar energy.
Mm-hmm. Now, tell us, for instance, sending in a photo for somebody to be treated, does the person have to know they're being treated by the scalar energy?
First of all, I would recommend that people say yes, that people have to give their agreement to be treated with scalar energy. Once I receive a person's photograph, I treat for 30 consecutive days. Okay. And the nice thing about it, Daniel, they can simply go on with their normal life. They don't have to change their lifestyle. I do all the work. You simply just assume a passive role, if you will. By all means, you should eat well and exercise and pray and meditate. But on my part, I take the active role and I do the treating. The person simply is the recipient of this beneficial energy. They don't have to change anything.
Mm-hmm. And it's interesting to take a look at this to realize this is a way that you can also put nutrients into the body.
That's right. That's another profundity of scalar energy. I'm able to assemble micronutrients. Again, scalar energy is a primal force in nature. It allows us people to either disassemble what's harmful or to assemble what is beneficial. And I can, with my instruments, I can assemble vitamins. I'm able to assemble antioxidants. I'm able to assemble minerals. Now, I have a program, I call it the nutrient program, and by way of scalar energy, I'm able to assemble over 230 micronutrients inside the human body. Well, it really, if you will, circumvents many of the metabolic pathways that we have to go about when we eat food or take supplements. What am I saying? Scalar energy, scalar light, directly assembles inside each cell the nutrients that we need. Light delivers the nutrient. Light assembles the nutrient inside the human body. We don't have to worry about digestion or metabolism, if you will. Mm-hmm. It's a new way, as far as I'm concerned, it's the perfect delivery system of assembling micronutrients inside the body.
Well, it's certainly interesting to hear about this. I'm sure that sometimes you have skeptics who are wondering, this kind of seems elusive to me, but you certainly have enough people that you've worked with to show that there's a lot of legitimacy to what you're doing here.
Yeah, I've done this for 25 years. I've seen great results. Mm-hmm. I would not come out and make these statements. I would not offer this if I did not have that backdrop, if I did not have that background. Mm-hmm. It's safe. It's easy to use. I have incredible control over nature with my instruments. I want to underscore that. It's not per se my ability as an operator. To the contrary, scalar energy allows me to control nature. Mm-hmm. Scalar energy allows me to either assemble a molecular form or disassemble a molecular form. So what do? That's of benefit to people. I assemble vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, phytochemicals. I disassemble germs. Scalar energy is going to open the door to our control of the physical universe. Eventually, once we understand scalar energy, we will have mastery, we will have control over physical forms, over physical matter.
Seems like it's more of a quantum science, isn't it?
Yes, it is, exactly. It's an intelligent field. We're working with intelligence. Scalar energy is intelligence. When I am imparting this energy, it's a form, if you will, of divine intelligence that allows me to what? Once again, to instruct physical forms. I have mastery, I have control over physical nature.
Now, how long should a session be? I understand you do 30-day, but it can actually go longer than that, but is there a limit?
There's no limit to these sessions. I break it down into 30-day increments. Most people feel better at the end of a 30-day session. Some people feel so great that they want to continue for the second or third month. So I want to make this very palatable to people. I want to make this easy to understand, and I want to make this affordable and beneficial. So everything I compartmentalize, if you will. And one of the ways I can make this palatable is offering people a 30-day session.
Fascinating stuff. What's the website people can go to find out more about this?
My website is selfhealgo.com. If you have questions, you can submit those questions and we will answer them. We'll provide you an email answer.
Okay, very good. Now, you also use this to, I guess, diagnose. Is that true?
No, I cannot diagnose with this instrument.
Okay.
I'm not sophisticated enough to understand how to diagnose with scalar energy.
Okay, and how many people are actually practicing with this in the world? Is it just you?
Just me. As far as I know, I'm the only one who's applied scalar energy in this setting, in this specific way of addressing, if you will, pathogenic disease and the need for nutrients. I believe I am the forerunner in that regard.
And I know also that you use this to help people with chakra balances. Tell us why that's important.
Yeah. One of the incredible discoveries that I've made is that when I'm working with high-powered instruments, high-powered scalar energy instruments, the instrument automatically corrects, in many ways, what we consider the chakras or the meridians of the body. Many of you are familiar that we have 7 chakras. What are those? Those are points of light. They're really vortices that spin, and they are composed of scalar energy. Well, what I have seen is that many people that I work with, by virtue of the fact that I can impart such a great degree, if you will, a great broadcast of scalar energy, that automatically their 7 chakras are corrected. Now, what is the upshot that I've witnessed? Well, many people report that their mood changes, that they're happier. Some people report a reversal of anxiety or depression. Why? Scalar energy seems to have a profound effect on our emotional state, most likely because it has a profound effect and can reprogram our 7 chakras. Well, if that's accurate, then this is the doorway, if you will, that will lead to better mental health, to address emotional disorder. I firmly believe that scalar energy is the step in the right direction by way of light to correct the 7 chakras, and in so doing, it will have a profound effect on our thinking, on our psychology, on our emotional state.
Well, it's certainly fascinating to see something like this coming into the world for people to, to use, and that it's non-invasive. So I would imagine that there are really no hard side effects, like if somebody was to use, prescriptions, for instance, or surgery.
And that's what I have witnessed for the past 25 years. Keep in mind, scalar energy is the energy of the stars. It's the same energy that the stars are broadcasting on a continuous basis. Well, what does that mean? I'm working with starlight, and starlight is beneficial. If starlight was any way harmful, we could not survive. The cosmos is filled with stars. Our sun is a star. So what I'm working with is the source energy of the universe. Scalar energy is the primary energy of the universe. And that primary energy, when used appropriately, can only enhance health, can only improve health. I'm working with sunlight or starlight. I tell many people, and I mean this in all sincerity, I have a miniature sun. I call it my scalar energy instrument. My scalar energy instruments in some capacity, are broadcasting sunlight or starlight. So what is a scalar energy instrument? It's a miniature star, if you will.
I'll tell you, Tom, this is really fascinating to be presenting to our listeners here, and it's been a pleasure to have you here on the program. It's really interesting to wrap your head around something like this.
You're right. It's new. I know it's different. I know I've challenged
Well, that's
some people
okay
today.
because electricity was different when we harnessed it, and look where we are now.
Thank you. Great analogy. Thank you.
There's a lot of things, actually, that, who would have thought nuclear energy, harnessing the atom, but we made that happen, in some places to devastating effect, but, we made it happen. I think, it takes a while, just for our listeners to understand that, I think it's 30 years before a scientific discovery actually becomes mainstream or it's accepted, by people as being something that's valid and something that can be trusted. And, sometimes it's just taking a leap of faith and continuing in that direction until enough people finally realize, well, this is very effective. And I think that's really what we should be looking for is it effective? And according to the results that you've had from many people, it seems to have been able to achieve that.
Yes, indeed. And that's the key. It has to prove itself. I am a result-driven researcher. I believe in results. Talk is cheap, so to speak. And look at my results, and that will speak volumes as to whether scalar energy works or not.
Very good. Now, Tom, if you could, for our listeners, give out that website one more time.
My website is selfhealgo.com. If you have any questions, people, please just submit an email, and we will answer it. I'll either answer it or somebody on the desk, and we welcome your questions and inquiries.
Well, very good. Tom, thank you so much for being on the Beyond 50 radio program and sharing this with our listeners and the world out there.
Thank you for the opportunity. I enjoyed myself.
We want to thank you, the listeners out there, for tuning in. Find out more about this, and you can also visit us at beyond50radio.com, where we'll have some information for you there as well. I'm Daniel Davis. Thank you for tuning in. This is the Beyond 50 radio program. And remember, live your day past halfway.